Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad you can hear me. Thanks for being here. I know everybody's out running around, quick turnaround. It is my pleasure to introduce Doug Vandegraft. He is originally from Southern California, attended NAU, Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, and earned degrees in geography and cartography. In 1983, he moved to Anchorage to work as a cartographer for the Bureau of Land Management, and then in '86, he transferred to the Fish and Wildlife Service. While in Anchorage, he attended UAA and earned a degree in surveying and mapping science. Doug was assigned mapping projects that sent him to locations all over Alaska. It was during these years that he became interested in Alaska's historic bars. So in 2000, Doug was promoted to become the first chief cartographer of the Fish and Wildlife Service and relocated to Washington, D.C. Then in 2010, he transferred to the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, where he became the first chief of the Geospatial Services Division. And then in 2018, he retired from the federal government. In 2014, Doug gave his first Notorious Bars of Alaska presentation at the AAH conference in Seward. And in 2015, he led a bar tour of Fairbanks. I went on the one in Cordova last year, and it was an absolute blast, and I cannot wait to do it tonight. Doug is a wonderful, wonderful wealth of information, and I know it's not on here, but he is also selling the third revised edition of his book on the back wall there, which I will be purchasing later for my brother-in-law. So today he presents his first historic bars of Fairbanks PowerPoint. Please welcome Doug.
Thank you, Jeff. It is a pleasure to be in Fairbanks again. I've missed coming here. Like Jeff said, I haven't been here in 10 years, and so it's just a real treat to be back. I went to the bar, 4 bars, just killing time here for a second while I get this set up. I went to the 4 bars that we're going to see tonight yesterday. That's right. Wait a sec. Yeah. Nope. Now I'm already having to previous.
It's the second one. It's a little hard to see. I got it. It's very hard to see. Do you want me to just advance for you, Doug?
Sure.
Yeah, I just advance for you.
Okay. So can we?
I'll look at it and see where you're at.
So just to the first one. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. As I started to say, I went to the 4 bars that we're going to go to tonight. I haven't been there in 10 years, and I was amazed. These bars are cleaner than I ever remember. They're just absolutely spick and span. You know, the toilets work. There's water. There's wallpaper. I was like, man, this is great. I didn't recognize any of them. I was really impressed. So don't be worried about that. I mean, there's still dive bars. Come on, but they're pretty clean dive bars. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I'm going to talk about my introduction about my book. I'll talk about the pre-prohibition bars, the post-prohibition bars in Fairbanks, the Cold War boom, the pipeline boom, and then renowned Fairbanks saloons, according to Mary Hajdukovic Hollander. I moved to Alaska in 1983 and never really left, kind of. While I was doing all that field work, I was in my 20s, so I would go to bars. It was still like a unique thing to go into a bar for me. And I realized that after time, I go, these are some pretty cool bars. You know, the Salty Dog Saloon, the Birdhouse on Turnagain Arm and all that. And I decided to write the book in 1999, and I got promoted and I had to move to DC. So how am I ever going to do this? But I figured out, hey, the Library of Congress is right not far from where I live, and the National Archives is here. And so I just started doing that kind of thing on a weekend and started doing the research. And it took me 14 years, but I would come back to Alaska and go to bars I had never been to before and talk to people in the historical societies and join the Alaska Historical Society. So it really worked out for me. Okay, so we're gonna advance, please. Yeah, that's the first edition. That was 2014. That's when we had the conference in Seward that year. And, oop, you missed one. Oh, wait, no, that's it. That's one 3 years later. And I assumed I was going to do another one in about 2020. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. So it's been 8 years now since, okay, next one, keep going. Yeah, that's the one that just came out this month. And between the second edition in 2017 to this one, 20 bars are gone. Bars are an endangered species. How about I say that? You know, and it'll be interesting to see in the next 10 years, you know, what happens or whether they're still going to be around. Okay, I'm going to advance. I'm here, and you're going to advance. Okay, so yes, just to refresh you in case you haven't seen any of my presentations. When Alaska became a territory, it was purchased from Russia for that many years. They were operating illegally. They had a temporary. We became legal for a few years, starting in 1899, and then became illegal again in 1918 through 1933. That's 15 years. And so when I think of that determines how old a bar can be. There was 15 years. This was the Alaska bone dry law. You could not buy a drink. You could not purchase any alcohol. There wasn't alcohol available at all for even medicines. Now, of course, this is Alaska here. So we had all kinds of ways to get booze, particularly down in Southeast, from Canada, where there was no prohibition, and just the people just making their own. And the Fairbanks was no stranger to that. There was all kinds of moonshine being made here. I have a lot of resources for this presentation, most notably the News Miner. There's a gap from 1943 to 1948 there. So I had to get those to fill in some of the gaps, get the actual microfilm. So I don't mind that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm advancing. So here's a really old photo of Fairbanks from 1904. And I'm advancing. So there's the Fairbanks bar and the Tanana bar. Both of those opened in 1903. And then you can also see the Eagle bar as well. Here is a street scene down the street from those bars. There was the Hotel Northern and the Pioneer Saloon. And here's some ads from 1906. Advance. There's from the Hotel Northern, the Pioneer. Continue. And the Tanana, and there was the Eagle as well. I'm advancing. All kinds of other bars were in Fairbanks, and a lot of them were advertising. This is again from 1906. This is an interesting slide, picture. Go ahead and advance. We see this is the Chena, of course. There's the Senate. Keep going. Eagle, the Seattle, and the Tanana bars. I've looked at this photo kind of carefully, and I've tried to look for women, and they're all in white. It's interesting. I think so. I mean, there might be a woman there dressed in black, but most of them are all in white. And that's how I was able to pick them out. Advancing. So when I look for saloons, I'm looking at almanacs and I'm looking in the newspaper, of course. So in 1909, I saw an estimate, I came up with 12, but other sources say there was 25, including the California and the Miners' Home. In 1914, there were 14 saloons, including the fraction which says, let them fight out their troubles in Europe, but we will be good fellows here. Advancing. One of the most, if not the most famous saloon from that time was the Washington Saloon, owned by this guy, Bill McPhee. He had a saloon in 40 Mile in 1896 when George Carmack brought news of his gold strike on the Klondike River. He owned the Pioneer Saloon in Dawson City, moved to Nome in 1899, and then Fairbanks in 1904. This is a flask, a picture of a decanter, maybe, but I wasn't able actually to find a photo of the saloon itself. Advancing. This is interesting. This is a guy named Pete Bushholz, and that's Bill McPhee there in the back, and that's good old James Wickersham there in the front. This was a pet moose they had. The pet moose ate stale bread and drank beer in the Washington Saloon. I know I've talked about this before, but yeah, James Wickersham was the person that wrote the Alaska Bone Dry Law. So I don't know how he and Bill got along, but apparently they did. Some articles I would find in the Daily Times was one of the mascots, one of the pets that lived in the saloon was a squirrel, and they had a big old funeral for the squirrel. And then it came to a time where it was in 1917 when it was inevitable that there was going to be prohibition. Article about Bill McPhee. Advance, please. And saying that he was a proprietor of the Washington Saloon, will probably be the first man to quit business. And he had he had some plans. I thought it was interesting to me that in 1921, McPhee was considered for the chief ranger job at the new McKinley National Park. That's the job that Harry Karstens actually got. But he was 7 years old at that time and blind. I was just amazed that they would offer him that job or could be considered for that job. In 1927, the building was converted into a garage. And this is there at the corner of First and, let me go back, doesn't matter. Workmen ripped out a portion of the old saloon and found $8,500 and $20 gold pieces. And this is where the Ice Museum is now, is where the saloon used to be. Going to advance. So yep, this is from January or December 31st in 1917. Go ahead and advance, please. In the headlines talking about we'll go dry at midnight. Little intoxicating liquors to be found in Fairbanks. This is a little different. There was towns in Southeast that had plenty of booze. They were just having to pour it out. And Fairbanks was pretty dry already by this time. One more advance, please. The author says here that Alaska will be converted from about the wettest country in the world to a bone-dry territory. Advancing. So yes, for 15 long years, all of Alaska was dry, even though we all know it really wasn't. But this is a good shot of 2nd Avenue, and I'll talk more about that here in a few minutes, from 1930. So Prohibition finally ended. This was that news minor for March 24th. And Governor Park signed the Alaska Dry Law repeal, and the capacities of breweries were restrained. And yeah, that's Amelia Earhart there on the right. So go ahead, yeah, one time. Okay, I'm advancing again. So while they started issuing licenses in June or May 1st, it really didn't happen until like 23rd of May, 1933 here. So the places I highlighted, the Imperial Cigar Store, Somalia House, Pioneer International, those are the places where you actually walk in and sit down and have a beer. Advancing. And some ads. I'll talk more about the International here in a few minutes. Advancing. Go ahead. Yeah. So here's some other, the Northern Cigar Store. They were still calling saloons the cigar stores for years, even though they weren't really cigar stores anymore. Go ahead, advance. Here's by 1934, we're seeing Mickey's Tavern and the Nevada in California again has come back from pre-prohibition, and also, so here. So I'm sorry, again, start counting bars again. 1942, that's when major construction begins at Ladd Field. There's 16 bars in Fairbanks. 1947, when Cold War begins, that's 20. The mile 26-year airstrip in 1948 becomes Eielson. There's 37. And by 1950, when the Korean War begins, there's about 44 bars in town. And the news monitor starts paying attention to this. And so this whole page is pretty, except for the crossword puzzle, is about bars and where you could go. Advancing. In 1955, the Cold War boom, a bar must have a territorial and city license in Fairbanks. There's 38 bars there. News monitor decided, all right, well, we're just gonna hire a guy to be our man about town and have a regular column about bars in Fairbanks, and called himself the Night Owl. Go ahead. And he had the whole third of a page here, you know, just all the places that he's gone and we met and everything. This continues for a while. About this time, the Drop Inn opened on South Cushman. It actually opened in 1950, right when it was just outside the city limits. The first place in Fairbanks that was open 24 hours. Bob and Doris Gavin, they were from North Carolina. They opened it. They got their beer and wine license in 1954 and their cocktail license in 1956. Advance, please. Here's a photo from 1971 when they did some remodeling. Advance. Yeah. And here's some pictures from the interior just 2 years ago, what it looked like inside. And yes, bad news, this month it was torn down. The Comet Club, the Totem Club burned down, and so it became the Comet Club in 1957. This bar was in the first edition of Notorious Bars. This was the last bar on Gaffney Road before you entered Ladd, or what's now Wainwright. The house band was the Comets. Here's pictures that I took in 2011. Closing night in 2015. It's now Allstate Insurance. Go ahead, advance. 1960, there was 55 bars in Fairbanks. By this time, this Fred Ackerson guy started taking over the column, and he kind of basically took over. And again, go ahead and advance. And he just talked about all the places he go and what he recommended and where you should not miss. Going to advance. In 1960, the Club Alaskan was opened, and that was there on Old Steese. In advance, please. The owner, I met her. She gave me this old picture. This was from 1980. It had really fallen. It looks like. So she contacted the Fairbanks Fire Department, and they did a controlled burn, you know, and came in and just burned it all down and rebuilt the Club Alaskan from that. I visited there in 2011, and that's what it looked like. It closed in 2021. It's now the Cabin. It bears no resemblance at all to the original Club Alaskan. The Club Manchu there on Jesse Street, Manchu as in Manchuria. It used to be the Squadron Club, which burned down in 1961. It was located next to Maury's, which was a strip club. Go ahead, advance. I was there in 2011, took those pictures. Go ahead and advance. In 2021, the name changed to the Crowbar, but they still kept the Club Manchu a lot of signs around. Go back a little bit. It's all right. Okay. Terrible murder happened in that bar. The Club Manchu, the Crowbar, one man killed another man with a hatchet right there. It wasn't long before that bar, before it closed. All right, so we'll go ahead. And so by 1970, there were 39 bars. Pipeline construction begins in 74, 33. I'm not quite sure why there was a drop there. We're right back up to 37 bars in 1980, and when the oil production peaks in 1980, I count 57. Like Anchorage, Fairbanks had a lot of bars, and I thought about focusing on just the Second Avenue ones, the 2 street bars, but I decided to consult an expert. This lady, Mary H. Ducat, thank you. And she was a journalist, and she had her own newspaper, the Fairbanks Gazette, and was a city council person from 1986 to 89. Wrote author of Who's Who in Fairbanks in 1983. But before that, go ahead and advance that. She wrote this book, Sporting Life in Fairbanks. Go ahead and advance. Oh, there, yeah. This is at the Rasmussen Library. I saw that. I looked at it 10 years ago, but I actually took pictures of it. And this is the cover of the book. And that's her and her daughter. And her daughter did illustrations inside the book. And amongst other the things that she writes about, how to hook a hooker, and stomping at the Savoy, and strolling down the avenue, which meant Saget Avenue, of course, she had a list of renowned Fairbanks saloons. Go ahead, past and present. These are her 16. So this is what I went with, what I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes, these 16 bars that she feels were renowned. She was born here. She lived almost her entire life in Fairbanks, except she was a few years in Germany. So she just talks about how she says firsthand knowledge of all these places. And so like I said, I'm going with it. She had no order here. I'm putting them in order as from oldest to youngest. Go ahead. So here's the Big I. They got their license in May of 1933. It was the International Hotel. Emil Paza opened the hotel in 1921. It was not on the north bank of the Chena, what people call the Garden Island. Chris Radovich bought from Paza in 1927 and had the beer license in 1933. But back then, back when it first opened, it was a wood building, not like the big cement structure that it is now. And it primarily sold things for the miners and the railroad people. Go ahead. I like this picture. This was 3 years after the '67 flood. And yeah, there are no buildings on either side of it. Now, the buildings on either side of the hotel are gone now. Yeah, this is Jack Sexton. He bought the Big I in 1971 and hired Bert Hap Ryder as the manager. Hap was Irish. He was an actor and teacher of performing arts. The Big I stopped being a hotel in the 1970s. And in 1974, George W. Bush was doing an internship here, and he went with the future mayor of Juneau, this lady, went to the Big I, and she said, "What do you remember?" "Well, I remember we had a beer. That's about it." The borough recognized the Big I as a historic site in 2012. Go ahead. This is a notorious bar for sure, and people still talk about this place, the Nevada Bar. It was on First Avenue from 1934 to 1961. Here's some ads. Go ahead. Yeah, this is one of the first. Some ads from 35 and 51 and 73. Some of these ads talk about it was here when Fairbanks was founded. There was a Nevada bar for a really short period in 1906, but it burned down. So I've looked at these things. The cutie in the covered wagon. It was just a miniature woman, like 7 inches tall, and I don't know why that would be an attraction, but it was. So interesting to me. Go ahead, advance. Here's some other pictures of it. Go ahead. Fairbanks city people, the mayor, the city council decided this was not a safe building to have a bar in. And so they said, no, we're going to close the bar. There was just a real movement to try to keep it open because everyone loved the Nevada bar. And it says here, a new false front and gallons of paint failed to save the old Nevada bar in Fairbanks, which since 1909, it says, had been home to some, a retreat to others, and a madhouse on Friday evenings. It was the first victim of the city's new building condemnation law and was closed this past summer. So that's Lael Morgan, that's the publisher of my book, and she told me two really good stories about this, about being in Nevada. She was part of this crowd here that did everything they could to keep it from closing. She told me that she was in the Nevada bar one night and she had a mouth on her, and apparently the bartender, they decided, you're out of here, Morgan. And she just kept sassing back. And this is, honest to God, this is what she said. They threw me, I landed face first on 2nd Avenue. I'm like, Lael, come on. That's what she said. And yeah, and also she was there when they knocked down the Nevada. And she said she couldn't believe how thin the walls were. She said the bulldozers just ran it over. It was just like cardboard walls. And how would you were able to heat the Nevada saloon? Interesting. So, but it's still, people still talk about it. Go ahead and advance. Oh, it's now the Key Bank. So this is the Fairbanks bar. It was, again, called the Fairbanks Cigar Store. You can see that kind of round sign up there. 2 different locations on 2nd Avenue, and go ahead and advance. Here's some old ads. It was still calling itself the Cigar Store, even in 1948, and Cocktail Bar. Kind of gives you an idea what it looked like inside, at least a little bit. Go ahead. At this particular shot, it was right next door to the Flame Lounge. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. It got moved into 402 2nd Avenue, and there's an ad from 1983, but it didn't last long. And 1984, go ahead, and they shut that down too. Here's the Chena bar. You can see it here on the left, kind of catty corner to where the elbow room was. There were actually 2 Chena bars. There was one that got burned down, and then another one rose up. People remember the first Chena bar by what happened here. There's a man named Howe. He was 6'1", weighed 240 pounds, and Harry Ray, who was 74 years old, he was 5'11", 160 pounds. Howe was drunk, loud and angry. He tore off Ray's shirt, threatened Ray with a bottle. Go ahead. And yes, Ray shot Howe and was exonerated. Oh, go ahead. I got to have the very next day. They said, self-defense. You're no problem. This is the fire. So this is a nice kind of ad. Kind of shows you what the first Chena bar will sort of look like on the inside. And yeah, it burned down in 1946 and wasn't rebuilt into a whole different location in 1953. Go ahead. Doesn't really give you a whole, it's kind of a dark photo. But yeah, the second Chena bar was, go ahead. Oh, it was, of course, during the days when there was lots of dancers that were available for a lot of bars in Fairbanks. And this particular dancer had a snake, 7.5 feet long, called King. And someone took King, and she never got the snake back. And so, end of Roxy Marlowe's act. And then I find other things that it was shut down for selling liquor to a minor in 1977. Go ahead. And it eventually became the home of the Town and Village Association for Development, and it's now a parking garage. But in 1993, they were doing excavations at First and Barnett Streets and found the front steps of the very first Chena bar with the marbles spelling out Chena there in the pavement. No. Oh, the development? Oh, no kidding. All right. Go ahead. We click it one time. Here's the Cottage bar. Just 2 doors down from the News Miner and Cap. Lathrop used to drink there. It also moved. Here's some ads, early ads from the grand opening from Cottage Bar. Go ahead. It moved. You can see it there. Go ahead. Advance. Right there. Across the street on 2nd Avenue. Murder happened in the Cottage Bar, and the judge decided it would be a really good idea if we bring the jury in to see where the shooting death happened. Eventually, the man was found innocent. Go ahead. It changed to the Trapper's Tavern in 2003, and then that's 2007. It closed. It's now Big Ray's. Here's the Savoy bar. It also had 2 different locations. Go ahead. You can sort of see it right there. Yeah. But it was opened in 1944. This was the headlines, June 6th, of course, 1944. And this ad was in the same edition, the June 6th edition in 1944. Oh, wait. It's all right. So yeah, I thought, man, that would probably be an upbeat audience for those first few people to go to the Savoy. They're probably pretty optimistic, I'm thinking, because of that kind of, because of D-Day. Okay, go ahead. Here's some ads from the Savoy, kind of give you an idea what it looked like. That's Johnny Wright there behind the bar. He was one of the owners. It moved to the second location. And this was, it eventually became just an eyesore. The Savoy bar block is downtown's dreariest face, displaying tired and unattractive cement block rectangles for buildings. So it was sold. Go ahead. And the owners got $980,000 for it. It's now a parking garage. Okay. I had never really heard of this well, I heard of it, but I didn't think it was outstanding. I'm not quite sure why Mary thought this was one of the renowned saloons, but she did. And I'm wondering if it's because there at the bottom of the ad, it's cool and comfortable. Maybe it had AC inside of it. Go ahead. Typical entertainment for Fairbanks bars at this time, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, have ladies come in and dance and play the guitar. Go ahead. Or the accordion or the piano sometimes. And go ahead. And they moved it or remodeled it actually. And eventually it became the Gold Rush Saloon. Go ahead. Oh, now it's the Golden Heart Plaza. Okay, so here's the pastime, and this is right after the '67 flood, this particular photo. It was on Cushman Street, opened in 1944. It used to be a soda fountain, which is converted into a bar. Go ahead. Just a scene from the, I guess, a barbershop trio there for golden days. Okay, and more entertainment, organ and piano, accordion and piano. Go ahead. And it closed to in 1983, and now the Spring Hill Suites. Go ahead. The Mecca, yay, still in business. License was issued in 1945. Go ahead. I don't mention it in the book. Well, go ahead. So here's the first ad for it. The guy who owned the Mecca bar in Kodiak, Roy Snyder, was doing so well in Kodiak, he decided, well, I'll open a Mecca bar 500 miles away from Kodiak in Fairbanks. Both these bars are still in business today. I think that's very cool. The one in Fairbanks there, the photo at the top looks like there's plenty of people. I don't know where everybody was that day, and the one in Kodiak in 1946. I didn't mention this in my book, but there was a fire there in the Mecca in January 46, and it closed for almost a year. Major damage there at the Mecca. And there's always been two levels of it. There's the top level where the bar is, and there was a restaurant of some kind below. Back in 1953, it was the Sports Mecca, where you could get a meal. Go ahead. Tiki Cove took over for the Sports Mecca, so many people were kind of associate the Mecca with that, with the Tiki Cove restaurant. It moved to the top of the Polaris in 1977, and that ended the days of having a restaurant below the Mecca bar. Go ahead. I'll be talking a lot more about the Mecca tonight. Here's Tommy's Elbow Room. I wish I could have gone there. And so this is a picture from 2021. And Tom Pasvan Jr., he actually owned the Big Eye for a while, and he opened the Elbow Room in one of his earliest ads from 1948. Go ahead. They used to show fight films. There was a restaurant in there for a while. Go ahead. This is the Toastmasters Club meeting at Tommy's Elbow Room. Back when it was, if you wanted to be a Toastmaster, you had to be a man. And I guess you had to wear suits. And so anyway, they're sitting at the bar, and that's a picture of Howard Rock. He apparently did a lot of working on ANCSA there at the Elbow Room. Go ahead. You recognize this lady here in the foreground, probably. Her and her husband owned Tommy's Elbow Room, and I thanked her yesterday for leaving the sign up. She says it works sometimes too. I have never seen it on. Go ahead. Oh, good. Thank you. Here's the Flame Lounge. Oh my God. Go ahead. Show. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. For years, it was 507 and a half, and it was upstairs. And then it moved to 542nd Avenue. Go ahead. Again, during the 50s and 60s, women coming in, you listen to them sing and play their instruments. 1965, they started doing topless dancing. And go ahead, keep going. Yep, keep going. One more. Yeah, and that continued, into. Go ahead. And this was the very last ad I could find for them after they moved to 542nd Avenue. And go ahead. It was demolished in 1983, and it's now also the Spring Hill Suites. Go ahead. Here's the Northward Lounge. Interesting, and the Northward building is still here in 1952. Here's an ad from 1958. These are actually pretty clear pictures. You can sort of see what it was like. Go ahead. The grand opening, old photo of the apartments. Go ahead. Another good view, kind of what it looked like inside. Go ahead. Also another view. Go ahead. And it closed in 2006. And there's actually no buildings in the, let me see, go back myself. At one time, the Northward had a grocery, liquor store, bank, bookstore, gift shop, jewelry store, luncheonette, taxi office, travel agent, lawyer, shoe store, real estate agent, secretary, and a broker, all within that building. And the fourth floor was where the prostitutes lived. So yeah, okay, next one. Here's the Polaris Lounge, part of the Polaris Apartments building. Go ahead. Grand opening was 1953. They had a soft opening and then a formal opening. Go ahead. The place they advertised, come and watch TV. And they were particularly proud of, go ahead, of their bartender who was nicknamed the Mohawk. Go ahead. So yeah, they moved to an addition to the Polaris in 1974. The man named, doesn't matter what his name is, he had 2 ounces of cocaine in the bar, selling it at the bar. And he got busted, you think? And so, yeah, then it moved, and now it's Lavelle's Tap House. And the building is not, it's just a memory now. Go ahead. Gold Rush was started out on First Avenue, moved to Pager. Go ahead. Kind of like the Red Dog Saloon in Juneau with the can dancers and the old time music. Go ahead. When it moved to Pager Road, it's kind of just all that went away, and they just did poker tournaments and they sponsored sport teams. The bar closed in 2016. It's now Access Alaska. Go ahead. The Leprechaun, and this was on Cushman, and it moved to Second Avenue. Go ahead. Some more ads for that. Go ahead. This amused me that this woman got arrested for dancing topless and $1,000 bail. And I'm like, it's happening all over town. This must have been just for an example, you know, what they could do if they wanted to. They got arrested you. Someone else, another lady got arrested also at the Flame Lounge. This was their very last ad, and now a parking garage. Go ahead. A Crystal Room. I never really heard of this place on Second Avenue also. Go ahead. More entertainment, including for female impersonators. Go ahead. The Ink Spots were there. They were American vocal pop group, international fame in the 30s and 40s. Their biggest hit was The Gypsy in 1946. The Gay Nighters played there too. Go ahead. It caught on fire in 1964. They reopened it, and yeah, it became the Club Bonanza. It's now Soapy Smith's. Go ahead. The Botel. Not on Mary's list. Not sure why. It was originally the Sternwheeler Nenana carried medical services off to villages. I'm going to talk a lot more about this tonight. Go ahead. This is when they got their cocktail lounge. Go ahead. It burned down also. They posted to burn it down, left the gas cans on the ground. Amazing. Go ahead. They rebuilt it. It's just a simple rectangle bar now, and but it's right on the Chena. It's a great place. One of my favorite bars. And Midnight Mine, also not on Mary's list. Not sure why, but it is the youngest of all the 16 that she named. License issued 1971. Was a dry cleaning store for years. Go ahead. This guy opened it up. It was his idea. He also owned the Riverside Wonder, Clear Sky Lodge, Howling Dog Saloon, and the Badger Den in North Pole. Go ahead. They just celebrated 50 years. Go ahead. I made a map, of course, that's who I am, and this is 1980. These were the locations of the bars on 1980. And mind you that in several of these, you could enter from First Avenue or Second Avenue to get into some of these places. And sometimes, I think, for like the Cottage in Savoy, you could enter on Third. So people say, well, it wasn't on Second Avenue. Well, actually, it was. I'm going to lead a bar tour tonight. I think we're going to leave about 9 o'clock or so. Cash is king, folks. Bring cash. And I'll talk more about that later. That's it. Thank you. Do I have time for questions or no?
We have brief time for questions. And then you can catch them at the bar tour.
Oh, yeah, you bet. And I got books for sale. I'll sign them, of course. It's in Fox. See, I know people have said that to me too. Why? What about the Golden Eagle and Esther? I had to focus on Fairbanks. Oh, yeah, I totally believe you. Yeah, they're not in the News Minor, you know, and they're not in the phone books either. I got a collection of Fairbanks phone books. Anchorage is the same way, all kinds of after hours places, and it's word of mouth. Sometimes you'll find pictures of them and everything. I don't have a lot of data on that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't on Mary's list. I mean, I've talked for what, at least half hour now. I had to cut it off somewhere and just focus on what, like I said, did anybody ever know Mary? Did you really? All right. Yeah. She sounds like a really interesting person. She was dressed really colorfully, right? I heard, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Can't wait to see you tonight. Looking forward to it very much. What's the order of the bar tour, Doug?
Botel, number 1. Midnight Mine, number 2. Mecca, 3. And we'll end up at the Big Eye.
Wonderful.
Each place, drink